In today's video, which is completing from the previous video, we're gonna combine the domain and the propeller together. And we're gonna make sure that we're ready and set up for meshing and avoid any small problems. First, we're gonna go to Workbench and make sure we save it. You can name it however you want and make sure it is secure, just so you don't lose what you've already done. And now I'm gonna open a new geometry by going to under components systems and just dragging the geometry. And again, open in SpaceClaim. What we're gonna do now, when we go in SpaceClaim, we're gonna import both the propeller file and the domain file that we saved separately. And then we're gonna do the same thing that we've done, let's say for the outer and inner domain, where we delete the inner domain from the outer domain. We're gonna do the same thing with the propeller and the rotate domain. And we're also gonna fix the propeller's geometry even further. First, go to assembly and go to file. And here you can open which one you want. So if you want to open the domain setup first or the propeller first, that doesn't matter. I'm opening the domain setup first. And I'm gonna go to assembly and go to file again. And I'm just gonna get my IGS file. And this is the untwisted propeller. And there you have it. We have both, as you can see on the left. And we want to just rename this solid to outer. And then you can see here on the propeller that they're all in terms of surface. And we want them to be all in a solid. So to do so, just go and repair. And it's usually some small problem. Just go to stitch and fix it by clicking the tick. And now it's supposed to be a solid. And now you can see here when I hide the domain setup, you can see the propeller. What we're gonna do now is delete the propeller or make the gap for the propeller inside the rotating domain. To do that, we go to combine, and like we've done before, let's click on rotate and the cut. I'm just gonna hide the inner and outer and cut the propeller. And then the solid object we chose, please click on rotate, because that's the one that we don't want anymore. And now the new solid, which is the new rotate with the gap that we have, is now going to be shown. And if I hide the propeller real quick and still hide face by right clicking and going to face, you can see the propeller's shape being there without the propeller being there. And even if I delete the propeller, this will still be intact, so it doesn't really matter. We can now go ahead and delete the propeller, and we want to also make sure we rename the solid into rotate again. Once we're done with that, we can just hide face, or no, sorry, show face. Now we can just repair it a bit further by just checking if there's any problems, if there's gaps or split edges. There's no areas found, as you can see on the bottom, it says no areas found, but usually there's an extra edge, and yep, I'm gonna tick on it so it gets fixed. Maybe you have to tick twice, and it fixed the problem. Also, we want to fix some of the inexact edges, and it's fine if there is 8 inexact edges, which is supposed to be the normal, and usually when you take it, usually fixes 2, and we can leave the rest for now. And usually to check geometry, you have to right click the domain setup, and if you click on check geometry, there should be no geometry problems found. If there is a problem, nothing else will work afterwards. Now we're gonna go to groups and just create an S, and this is very important for meshing. well, the mesh software needs to know what the names are, so you can specify easily what you want to mesh, or however you want to mesh it. So first you click on the inner and just go up, click create NS, do the same for outer, and we're gonna do the same for rotate. Rotate. Now we also want to do the blade. So we want to do the blade surface. Let's hide these two. And let's hide all the faces. Hold Control and click on the rest of the faces. Like so. And then you can right click and just hide this. And now you can only see the propeller. Or not the actual propeller, the shape that was done left by the propeller. Highlight it and then create an S, and you can call this blade. Now finally, we're just gonna do outer by just selecting it on the front panel, just clicking onto the top surface first and creating a group, and we're gonna call it O Inlet, O space Inlet. When we're done, we're gonna do the same at the bottom. We're gonna call it O Outlet. Create an S, O Outlet. You can also just call it outlet if you want, or an inlet if you want, but I'm just making this O just to remind me that it's a outer domain. And click on the wall and just select O wall. And that's basically it. There's nothing we need to do here.